I was about 4 or 5 years old, and my parents had just separated. My mom was living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I had my room, but I preferred to sleep in her bed whenever I was staying with her. Our 2 bedrooms were at the end of a hallway, directly across from each other. Our apartment was on the first floor, and I remember that it was in the middle of the summer, and my mom had a window open in her room, which was directly behind the bed, right above the headboard. Anyways, I woke up in the middle of the night and remember sitting up and seeing that our cat was sitting in the doorframe of my mom's room. This was strange because our cat was typically always in bed with us. As I was watching him, he walked into my bedroom and meowed. I turned to face my mom and wake her up. In the 3 or 4 seconds that it took her to wake up and ask me what was wrong, we both looked back in the doorframe, and there was a man standing by my open door, making his way out of my bedroom. I still have no idea how she managed to do it so quickly, but my mom proceeded to pick me up and literally throw me out of the screen window. She quickly followed, and we were able to start screaming for help, and someone called 911. The police came, but didn't see any signs of forced entry, only that our front door was unlocked, which led them to believe the man must have exited that way. The strange thing, however, was that my mom swore up and down that she had locked the door that night with a deadbolt and chain lock. About a week later, she was cleaning the kitchen and she opened up our water heater closet and found a notebook with names and drawings, as well as a pair of gloves and some gum wrappers. The police were called again, but all they could do was speculate that the man had been in our house and hid while we were asleep. This is a terrifying, sad, but true story that I experienced when I was 12. I moved to my father's when I was 10 and didn't know anyone in the area except for the family my dad was friends with, a single mom with 3 kids. Luckily there was a girl a couple of years older than me, 12 at the time I met her, and we got to know each other a little over a couple of years. We weren't that close, but ended up having the same friends. One night, my friend Rob was hanging out with her and her younger brother. They happened to be in the house alone because my friend's mom was at work, which is where this gets terrifying and sad. Her mom had been helping this one lady throughout her work and got to know her fairly well. She found out her sister was in a mental institution and was let out recently. The night Rob is hanging out with my friend, they get a knock on the door. My friend thought it was just their mom, because she knocks a certain way when coming in, and answered it without thinking twice. Rob wasn't supposed to be there, so he took off through the window to his house down the road. He never thought twice about it. Unfortunately, it wasn't her mom. It was the sister of the lady her mom was helping, and she figured out through talking to her sister where her family lived and her mom's working schedule. She came in, and this is where I don't know the details, and I'm quite glad that I don't. My friend's younger brother got away to the neighbors to call the police. The lady brutally murdered my friend a week from Christmas, decapitated her, and left her body naked in a bathtub, and hid her head. They had to look through the presents, and I don't know where they found it, but they did. My university was bisected by a big lake with a bridge going across it with an island gazebo in the middle. One night I was walking down the side of the lake, about to cross a bridge to go to a dorm on the other side. As I was walking down the sidewalk, I noticed some kid in a grey or maybe white hoodie with the hood up, walking across a section of the bridge on my side of the gazebo, towards my sidewalk. I didn't think anything of him until I walked by a big tree which blocked my line of sight for a second. When I got past the big tree, I happened to glance back at the bridge, and to my surprise, there was no one there. He couldn't have possibly walked off the bridge. he would have to go right by me, and if he had turned around in the split second I couldn't see him, he wouldn't have had any time to get all the way back to the island either. He was just gone, vanished into thin air. This story gets even more creepier, because about a year later, I was about to tell this story to my friend who had been abroad that semester. He'd never had heard this story, and before I even got to what I saw, he cut in and said, "Wait, did you see a guy in a hoodie disappear too?" And from then on, I hated walking across that bridge alone. When I was younger, we frequently visited my grandparents around holidays, even though we didn't live in the same town. My aunt lived 2 houses down from my grandparents. The lady in the house between was, well, quite creepy. She was a large woman, over 6 feet. She wore logging chains around her neck, a dress, and work boots. The only time I remember seeing her outside was either in her garden in the back or when she was washing the outside of her house, scrubbing the actual building. She did this quite often. During these times, she would yell at us kids and call us all kinds of things. She would tell us the devil would be coming for us. The adults told us to leave her alone and to avoid her. We would run the distance between my aunts and my grandparents because when you passed by, she was watching out the windows. It was quite creepy, and we never went alone. One Halloween, one of the cousins dared us to trick-or-treat her house. I remember how scared I was, but I didn't want to be a chicken. Plus, I was going with the group. One of us rang the doorbell, and there was a lot of banging noises in the house, suddenly like doors slamming. When she answered the door, she had a severed head in her hands, and we all went screaming. The adults told us it was a Halloween prop, and we knew we shouldn't be bothering her, and deserved to be scared. About a month later, my parents got a phone call that the lady had tried to kill my aunt while she was bringing in groceries and had my young cousin in her arms. The lady had one of them rope saws and had come up behind my aunt with it. She put it over her head and around her neck and proceeded to saw. My aunt naturally flipped and started kicking the door. My uncle came and beat the lady down with a fire poker. The police investigation revealed that the lady had been digging tunnels under her home which were coming up under my aunt's, my grandparents' and another neighbor's house. She had been bringing the dirt up and putting it in the raised beds of the gardens. She also had a shrine of some sort, underground, which had a few severed heads around it. Luckily, my aunt survived, but has a long scar across her neck. So that's it for today's Halloween special. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Until tomorrow, goodbye.